So, I've got some news that might be a little bit heartbreaking. It's a bit tough for some of you to hear this, but it just shows that the word of John isn't done, and my mission is nowhere near complete. Because 75% of the people who watch these videos aren't subscribed. It's hard to take, but it's just the truth, and it's the way it is. And it shows that the mission is nowhere near complete. We've got to keep going, boys. But for real though, this is just a video that I planned to have up yesterday on my birthday, June 24th. But it was a busy day, I didn't have time to get around to it, and on top of that, it was absolutely boiling, so I didn't want to just sit down in this leather chair all day and melt into it. So my trajectory of my channel looked like I was going to hit 10k pretty much right around my birthday. So I had a plan to make a video that was like a collaboration of 10k subscriber special and my birthday special of like a best of the last few months. Since the content switch though, I find it difficult to sort what clips are the funniest and not the funniest. So I just went by the comments, I went by what you guys had said, I went by what people in Discord have quoted, and I just sort of compiled a lot of their moments, excluding a lot of AC moments because I want to make a best of Assassin's Creed Unity once that's done. So I purposely only did the first video of AC Unity and not the rest. There won't be clips from the last few videos because that was technically after I hit 10k. This is just a very select few to whet your appetite a little bit. You know how when you get with a girl, you've got a tiny dick, you only give her 1 inch for the first few months. So though when you fully insert it, it's a big surprise. That's kind of like what I'm doing for you guys right now. I'm giving you guys the first inch or two, but later on in the year, around Christmas, I'll give you all 3 inches. So once again, like I said a lot in the Q&A video, thank you guys so much for 10k. It is insane how quickly we hit it. We've hit 12k today on the day of this video going up, which is nuts. And I hope that we can just continue on this path for the rest of the year. But for now, enjoy best of clips according to the comment section and you guys. The game tries to get me to engage in combat straight away, but thanks to the Church of Christianity, I instead decide to run away and suppress my gay thoughts. I mean, violent thoughts. I really don't know why I said that. I promise you guys, I love big titties. In the intro of this game, things are flipped on their head, and instead of being the assassin, you are a Templar trying to take down an assassin.
I just flip the switch. I don't know nobody.
This, however, proves quite difficult when the assassins have decided to consult Captain Price on tactics they need to defeat the Templars. Where did they get flashbangs from? This is the 1300s. They didn't have flashbangs then, did they? Where's Captain Price yelling flashbang through the door? The game then decided to try and get me into some deep, deep waters, as it told me to follow a young child. But I got told by police just last week if I was seen following young children again, I'd be arrested and put up in a cell. When Arno arrives home, he begins talking to this painting of a woman on the wall, which actually brings me quite a lot of comfort. It's nice to know that I'm not the only one who has pictures of women on their walls who they talk to and plan to kill. Totally kidding, by the way, guys. I don't just kill women, I kill every gender. There's no sexism over here. I even kill BuzzFeed employees, and who knows what the fuck gender they are. I steal one of her father's suits. Again, another one of my top 10 tips, because nothing gets a woman going more than the smell of her own dad. Just consulting my tips here, I've actually got written, this is only appropriate if the dad left when they were young, and or treated them like a son rather than daughter. For some reason we've decided to come to a remote desert island that no one's ever heard of before just to party really hard because
my brother Riley forgetting his pilot's license.
Who spends that much money going on holiday and partying that hard after someone just gets a license? When I got my Legoland license, I didn't come home to Sambuca shots lined up with my mum. She was doing them on her own, but those are separate issues. And I actually can't work out if we've been caught up in some BDSM fetish or if this is an actual kidnapping and our lives are in danger.
I'm the one with the fucking dick!
He then shows me some bang average women and tells me that they really are something, aren't they? Which I couldn't disagree with more, but I decide to let him off the hook because I remember that he lives on a remote desert island, so I guess a catch to him is something that isn't from his family tree, with 2 legs and a working heartbeat. My reward for being so brave, you ask? A photo of a dwarf. That was tonight's wank sorted, and now I just needed to get to the top of this radio tower before sunrise, and after saying that he'd never shot a gun before, Jason was all of a sudden shooting like a Columbine student. So in an effort to make you feel more comfortable, I'm now going to get out my balls and slam them on my desk for you. Did you hear that? No? Okay, well now that we've established that I have small balls, let's continue with the video. Now being a pacifist in the war is a little bit like being a straight man locked in a room with James Charles. You're absolutely beading sweat, but you go along with it because you hope for some sort of cash sum or small reward at the end of it all. Another problem that I run into with knocking out the guards was that when I was dragging their bodies towards the car lift, other guards would then spot me and I would be in big trouble. It was at this point on the assassination where I wished this was taking place in a white privileged neighbourhood because people wouldn't second guess me at dragging around a foreigner's body. However, though, you have got to make sure you keep your rags separate because there was this one awkward time where I've gone to chloroform someone, come up behind them, shove the rag in their face, and they've asked me, what are you doing? This smells like semen. I was like, oh, wrong rag. Lara Croft then goes on her best friend's camera and proceeds to watch the videos on it, which is really just a violation of someone's privacy. There might be things on there that they don't want you to see. I learned this once when I found a camcorder just on the street, picked it up and found out that someone had recorded a Coldplay concert, and I was just absolutely disgusted by what people do in private. They recorded a Coldplay concert like they wanted to watch it again. For anybody wondering that's not from the area, Crawley isn't actually a bad place. I just live near there, and I used to have a local football team rival when I played for my under-12s team, and one of the players for Crawley once called my new Nike boots ugly, and I've just had it out for the entire city since then. Not to worry though, as I two-footed that kid a bit later in the game, breaking both of his legs, getting him off the pitch in tears, and forcing him to retire from football at the age of 12, forcing me at the age of 19 to then be suspended for playing for any football team in the southeast of the UK and doing a little bit of community service. But hey, he still can't walk properly to this day and lives on disability thanks to me, so who got the last laugh in the end there, Christopher? It's crazy to think that that was nearly a year ago now. How the time flies when you're two-footing 12-year-olds. But either way, I wasn't really worried about what he was saying. It was nice to just feel the warmth of another human being. Usually I only have people in between my arms when they're cold and stiff. After 627 Assassin's Creed games, I'm still really not sure how the guards don't hear this. Like, come on, she hit that cart harder than Owen Hart hit the floor of Kemper Arena in 1999. But unfortunately, like any man who hits the gym twice a week, he doesn't know how to express his emotions, so he expresses them in anger towards other people, when really that anger is just masking a lot of sadness, depression, and childhood trauma. Take all my clothes except for my boxers. I really appreciate them not exposing my little Todger, however, I would have appreciated if they had left my socks more than my boxers, because the sand is literally 100 degrees. Do you know how many blisters I'm going to have to peel off and pop after I'm done with this? I hear some noises in the distance, so I go check it out, and it turns out that this guy that looks like a Greg's pasty has trapped my dog in a cage. I then threaten him, tell him it's not for eating, but it turns out that he actually knows us. Which I guess makes sense, because if you're ugly, you've at least got to have a good personality. Luckily, all of that punching drywalls when my dad left me and I didn't know how to deal with my emotions actually comes into good use here. When I see these guys' faces, all I see is my dad walking out the door and never coming back, and some opportunistic plaster waiting to be punched through with my fragile masculinity. Oh, shit. Wrong button. Wrong button. Wrong button. Wrong button. Throw it. Oh, Christ. Alright. No, don't enter it with the... Oh, Christ. Get out. Where is it going? Where are you going? I need you, fuel. Come back, please. After I'd done beating those guys like it was December 1st and they were my dick, I then found Chumbucket had finally changed the body of my woman into the brand new body that I picked out for her, and it just made me wish, wow, I wish women would really change their bodies this quickly for you. But for extensive research, I found it takes about 2 years of mental abuse for them to really start listening to you. Waking up, I realised that I was a little bit more than coke, because I've seen the devil in my kneecaps and he's completely done me in. I'm on all fours, begging for some mercy to help me through this come down. So naturally, after getting a Yakult down me, because a healthy digestive system is key to good health and longevity, I then went searching for this place they call Dawnguard. The Uber driver drops me off in Riften instead of Dawnguard, because apparently me smothering mayonnaise on my balls was killing his vibe. I was genuinely questioning my own intelligence more than I questioned this guy from the Middle East who was on my last flight. He was wearing complete white and had a big thick black beard. Look, don't judge me, okay? I was just looking out for the safety of the other passengers. He had coriander on his food and left it on there. And studies have shown that 98% of the people who eat coriander without throwing up are terrorists. So I thought this time round, I'll just stick with the first idea that hits my head. And naturally, the first idea to pop into my mind was an 80s TV showrunner with a serious coke habit. I whack some time-appropriate glasses on him, and this just really completes the look. He goes from being a slightly greasy, well-presented guy going for a job interview to full-blown sexual assault charges. In this game, no matter what name you enter, you will always just be called douchebag. So I decided to be one step ahead of the game and just call myself douchebag. Unfortunately though, I spelt douchebag wrong. I had one job. One fucking job, and I spelled it wrong. The others would have to wait a few minutes for my help though, because this girl that once said hi to me uploaded a slightly saucy picture to Facebook, and it was time for a fap and cry. I do often just invite myself into people's properties, and it was a bad example set to me by my uncle, who often invited himself into me. I visit the customization store and make a very, very questionable decision on some of the things I purchase, and then continue to equip to my character. Oh no. Oh no. I shouldn't have done this. This was a mistake. All these years of being an avid coffee drinker, and I always thought the best blends come from places like Colombia, Italy, and America. But really now, I'm just finding out the best blends come from a redneck's garage, which also, by the looks of it, doubles up as a meth lab. I mean, hey, praise to them for doing 2 businesses at once, that's not easy. And I think from this we can gather he did about as good of a job protecting her as I did protecting my virginity when my next door neighbour started making moves. I would like to say that she was the girl next door type, but it was actually a 40-year-old man called Greg. We flash back to a time when my life was a little bit better because my wife was alive. Don't get me wrong, intercourse with corpses is still alright, but it can just be a little bit cold sometimes. Here we are then, it was time to get going in taking down the man they called the Slaver. Just because I enjoy something doesn't necessarily mean that I'm good at it. I enjoy taking drugs, but I still can't really take them that well. I always need help inserting them into my arsehole. We ended up just knocking out Maurice because he remained tight-lipped and didn't tell us any names, which is the polar opposite to my girlfriend, who randomly screams other men's names when we engage in sexual intercourse. At first I was suspicious, but then she told me that she actually has a very unique condition which only applies to her and none of the other 7 billion humans on the planet, called sex Tourette's. Ah, my poor girl. She's so brave. Mr. Bob Schneider, a police sergeant, marches in the annual police parade, so you know he definitely says things like, "White lives matter," and "If you take away our guns, you take away our freedom." Anyway, it's been a stressful day, so it was time to get a good night's kip. Fully clothed because depression. I haven't seen a diving tackle that impressive since I accidentally stole a baby from the supermarket. Somebody had just left it there in a pram next to the free sample section, and I thought, yeah, go on then, we'll give parenting a go for a week. Mistakenly thinking that Sainsbury's were just treading some new waters, giving out free samples of babies for a week so you could test it and see if you wanted one. I walked out to give the news to my girlfriend to then only be rugby tackled by the security guard and banned from every Sainsbury's store in the country. I mean, they could have made it a bit more clear, but hey, simple misunderstanding, I guess. We pull up to Daka's place in a vehicle that's guaranteed to have the ladies dripping wet. Not because they'd be turned on or anything, but because the vehicle has quite a large shortcoming. The rather hefty motor on the back kicks up so much water you'll get off the boat looking like you've just had a conversation with Harry Kane. While looking completely inconspicuous making our way through the Mardi Gras festival, I managed to find a situation in a bathroom which would have a frat boy absolutely dripping with pre-cum, while showing the streets of Hong Kong how big my peen was by pulling the sickest wheelie you'd ever seen. Tragedy struck, and I accidentally used this poor man as a human ramp. It really just feels like I can't get away from violence. I mean, who'd have thought that going 120 on the wrong side of the road, pulling a sick wheelie, would have ended in someone getting hurt. Naturally, I go and check up on him to see how he's doing after being used as a real-life half-pipe. I thought we were dealing with a top geezer here, but it appears we're going to need some maxi pads because the big vagina has somehow died from that. The paramedics arrive, and just as one of them drops down to execute the sucking dick to see if they're still alive strategy, a pedestrian in an olive green Prius attempts a quick assassination on one of the paramedics, which fails miserably. The olive green Prius hitman then just freezes, and the other paramedic sums up the whole situation in a few wise words.
This job sucks.
The first thing I notice when I step foot off the plane is the absolute stench of BO and incest. I didn't actually know it was possible to smell webbed feet until the helicopter landed. After the helicopter crash, Joseph decides to serenade me with his soft singing voice, but I can't help but notice that sick pair of gunner optics he's styling with. Kids these days won't even know that gunner optics was what all the snazziest gamers wore back in the Halo 3 days. If you had a pair of those on, you were 3 times more likely to have the e-girls wanting some of that 5-star general ranked dick. I mean, he couldn't land a punch to save his life, and he went down like someone with cerebral palsy who's just lost their crutches. So we just had to wait for the police to disappear until we could eventually return to Sloppy Seconds. Sloppy Seconds is the name of the clothing shop, by the way. It's not the same sort of sloppy seconds you have when your boy is done with the girl in your basement. Oh, I can't help myself. Why did I say that?